Dead, Season 2, Episode 9. Thoughts? This episode is called Triggerfinger. Another episode I love. Spoilers for every episode leading up to and including this one. The episode is rated TV 14, so will this video be? Let's dive right in. So yeah, there are indeed, I don't know what to call the group yet, but I guess friends of Tony and Dave, FTDs. You know, they were very close by. They heard the gunshots, and yeah, you know, it starts with them just wanting to make sure, you know, are they alive? You know, are they okay? And I really appreciate, like, it's again one of those things, like, I can understand. I think there's a decent chance they just don't believe Rick when he says they pulled their guns on us. We had no choice. We're not going to hurt you if you let us go. You know, because at the end of the day, like, I feel like the one thing they believe is that, you know, Dave and Tony are dead. And, yeah, like, what reason do they have to believe Rick that nothing is going to happen? Like, from their certain point of view, it might just look like Rick and, you know, the others in the bar, you know, just for no good reason killed Dave and Tony, and now they're like, oh wow, there might be too many people. There might be too many of them, Sid. You know, we're gonna have to talk our way out, but we'll shoot as soon as they turn their backs on us. You know, yeah. And let's see, yeah, some really great tension with that whole thing, and just horrifying when that one guy, you know, he's shot. You know, he does fire first, and he's shot, and then he's lying there, and the walkers come up, and, you know, yeah. Pro tip: never ask a walker to do your makeup. They're gonna jump straight to the facelift. And let's see, yeah, and it's one of those things, like, Herschel could probably have finished him off so he wouldn't be eaten by walkers, but then the walkers would move on to him, Rick, and Glenn. So it again is this thing of just, yeah. Certainly there was no saving him once the walkers were on him and tearing his face off and that whole thing. You know, like, best case scenario, they buy him some time, but he's almost definitely going to turn into a walker if he doesn't die at the hands of them. Let's see, yeah, that one guy with the rifle, and it again is, you know, when afterwards when they have to decide whether or not to save him, it is this thing of, I mean, you know, as Rick, I think it's Rick who points out, he's just a kid, you know, and he thinks he's avenging, you know, Dave and Tony and protecting him and his friends, you know. He doesn't know what we, the audience, know. And yeah, the jump, just brutal. It again is this thing of, like, if there hadn't been so many walkers, he would have had time to get back down from there in, you know, yeah, better situation. See, that's the thing. One thing I'm learning from this show is, if I'm ever in the zombie apocalypse, don't be on a rooftop with a rifle. It's gonna cost you an arm and a leg. And yeah, seeing him with the spike through the leg, and they're talking about, you know, and it was genuinely so messed up. Like, they're talking about him like he's not there, like he can't make an informed decision. Like, holy crap. Do vets not have, you know, this thing of, like, talking to the patient? I suppose not. I don't know how you tell a dog that something, you know, you can try to soothe it and make sure it knows it's gonna be okay, but yeah, I guess that's not really a skill vets develop. But yeah, and they talk about, you know, oh, the axe, what about this knife? And just like, Holy crap. I am really, really glad I have never been, and never will be, in a situation like the guy with the leg injury. And yeah, they've run out of time, and Rick makes the one, you know, he makes the tough call. It's the only way they're going to be able to save this guy's life. So just grab the leg and yank it right off the spike, and just, holy crap, yeah. And yeah, you know, like Herschel did say, you know, we're not going to be able to, well, crap, I forget the exact words, but there was some reason why they jumped to, what's it called? Not decapitation, because that's the head, and a certain type of coffee. Amputation, that's it. You know, yeah. And they do think to cover his eyes for the ride back, and just, yeah. I guess I'll just briefly cover, there's not that much else to say that has to do with Glenn. But yeah, you know, he feels like he's a coward, and, you know, Maggie says, no, you know, you're trying to, you were thinking about me and us, you know, and that is a conflict that a lot of young men at one point or another, like, not because, you know, without a zombie apocalypse, obviously, but yeah, you know, this thing of feeling like, you know, is it making me weak and ineffective in, you know, when people need me, when I care about, you know, the person that I'm in love with. Can't help but notice he still didn't say it. Glenn, you're on thin ice. And let's see. I do appreciate he did say, you know, it's because I care so much about you. I was worried about how it would hurt you, you know, to lose me. Which also, like, dude, that's not being selfish. That's, you know, like, you could say he's putting her above Rick and Herschel, but yeah, it is like, a lot of young men feel like they're being selfish when they put you know, their partner ahead of their friends. And yeah, I think there's not an awful lot more that I want to say about Herschel either, so I'll just cover that real brief. Yeah, he was willing to shoot, and like he said, he knows how, you know, I know how to shoot, I just don't like doing it, you know. And let's see, let's see, what's the other thing with, yeah, you know, he tends to, I think her name is Beth, but there's so many names, I can't keep track of all these characters' names. But, you know, the one who was shocked. Right, that was also the Maggie telling the Annie about the, you know, the story with the birth control and the whole, yeah. That was legitimately, genuinely a funny story. And I agree, probably shouldn't tell Herschel. And yeah, but, you know, Herschel is back, and the brief conversation between him and Maggie, and the thing, you know, you were drinking, that was the least of my problems, you know, just, yeah. Let's see, and really loved him telling off Shane that we never talked about the barn. I said you had to leave. Rick talked me out of it, but that doesn't mean I have to like you being here. So do me a favor and shut up. And I really appreciate Shane actually did it. You know, that is, yes, like, I'm not sure I would say it's all the time, but at least some of the time he does respect authority. Yeah, Herschel has a point. This is my farm. You know, my farm, my rules. And yeah, I was expecting, you know, Shane to, you know, say like gubernatorial or something, but yeah. Let's see, I think that pretty well covers those characters. So yeah, there's the really big thing. I think I'm gonna do that last in this video, but yeah, I really appreciate this discussion of, yeah, if they let him go, is it going to be dangerous? I mean, it's one thing that there's like, okay, covered his eyes. Yeah, I mean, if they're determined enough and they go, you know, there's only so many different directions. They know which direction they came from. There's only so many other directions. There's some chance they're eventually gonna find. Yeah, and it's also one of those things like, how far away from the farm are you going to take the let's see, Spike Boy. Let's go with that. Because if you don't take Spike Boy very far, it won't be difficult for him to, if you don't take him far enough, it won't be difficult for him to figure out, oh, well, I must have come from that direction. The farm is in that direction, and he'll go find his the other FTDs, and they're gonna be able to go back to the farm. But if you go very far away from the farm, you risk running into FTDs who might not realize right away that you were saving Spike Boy. That might actually, they might think, oh, so you're a kidnapper as well as a double homicider. So yeah, fantastic thing. It's just, yeah. I like Shane's line about, oh, so we're in Fantasyland, let's get him some candy. It just, yeah. In case you're low on candy, just, head to Gumdrop Lane. And yeah, let's see. I think that does more or less cover. Yeah, also Shane lying to Lori, and I really appreciate she doesn't just like let that go. She and points out, this is not the first time you've lied to me about Rick. Carl is absolutely adorable at realizing about the pregnancy. And it is genuinely sweet that he wants the if it's a girl, can we name her Sophia? So he's not all, doom and gloom these days, as Lori had worried. And let's see, I think... Right, I like the bit with, we haven't told him where babies come from. Don't look at me, that's your dad's job. And let's see, we have the yeah, also Lori getting some great badass moments. She hasn't gotten that many. I'm not complaining, but it was still nice to see, like was that a screwdriver or something right in the eye of the, and yeah, like, not an expert or something, but I do believe it is accurate that the attacking the eye with something long enough and sharp enough is more likely to get into the brain than like the forehead, for example, where the skull is thicker. Yeah. Let's see. And yeah, I appreciate there were several like stages to her, after the after the car crash. She comes to, and there's like a scream, I guess it is, and there's that one walker that's like tearing off its own skin to get to her, not even noticing that. And yeah, she stabs that one, then there's the other one behind her, and just, yeah, various great little things there. I like that Shane, at first he's like, oh, Rick and Herschel and Glenn are out there. I can wait until the morning. Lori's out there, let me get my gun and the keys to the car, and I am out of here. Because at the end of the day, yeah, she and the baby are who he cares most about protecting, He would also have left for Carl, to be sure. I quite liked, yeah, Dale is just telling everybody now. He really is trying to make sure that people know how dangerous Shane is. And it's also one of those things where, like, for a while, Dale was like, I feel, thinking about exactly how to approach, and maybe also in part in shock after seeing Shane point a gun at Rick. And yeah, it was once he thought, wait, what about Otis, though? Why is Shane being so tight-lipped, yeah, now he wants everyone to know how dangerous Shane is, and Andrea is... Wait, is it Andrea or is it Annie? Ah, crap. I think it's Annie. Yeah, I'm going with Annie for now, at least. No, wait, Annie was the younger sister, right? Andrea, yeah. Andrea is not receptive to it, and yeah, she does genuinely feel that Shane has done more to protect them than Rick has. I forget, I think she maybe told Shane that in an earlier episode, but she definitely didn't tell Dale until now, and yeah, there is going to be some kind of confrontation, to resolve this power struggle, because it really is like Rick and Shane do not agree on a lot of these decisions, and I feel like at this point is it maybe about half? Well, let's see. Like Shane for sure can depend on Andrea. Rick can depend on Lori and Dale, but I'm not sure about T-Dog and Carl, because both of them have had some good experiences with both so yeah, I am not entirely sure. Like, if it comes down to like a vote, and I feel like there is some chance that it might. Yeah. I guess it's also possible that it will that eventually Shane and Andrea will depart from the rest of the group. That is also, and I like Andrea pointing out Shane just needs better publicity, to be a little bit more sensitive in how you broach these subjects, because she does largely agree with his decisions. She's not going to come out and say something as harsh as Sophia's already dead and stuff like that. More great character moments between Carol and Daryl. Just realized their names rhyme. And yeah, like with Daryl, like you can tell there is some, like he is essentially... It's possible that she also thinks some of the things he says about him, but she certainly didn't say them out loud. I think it's just that for him, it's right underneath the surface. This thing about, is this about my dad? He is frustrated that he wasn't able to save Sophia, and he can't, he's, on some level, he feels like it's his own fault, which is, of course, absolutely ridiculous, but guilt is often not rational. Survivor's guilt, and he doesn't cope with it well when he feels like something is his fault. So he tries to say, oh, why didn't you protect your daughter better? As if she could have. That's obviously also... And it's him trying to push her away, because he does not... as mentioned when I talked about an earlier episode with scenes between them, he doesn't know how to cope with people liking him. That's not really his... yeah. Let's see. I think that does just about... let's see. Yeah. Genuinely really, really tense when, Lori talks to Rick about, Shane. And, right, I also appreciated, yeah, Shane really laying all his cards on the table with Lori. And, yeah, let's see. And yeah, she remains steadfast. And, yeah, at first, Rick, I like the thing, we have to talk about Shane. What do you do now? Because, like, he's known Shane for some years now. It's like, it's not... Shane what? No, he's a delicate little flower. He's an angel, Like, if she said Glenn did something, you'd be like, what are you talking about? No, Glenn's a saint. But, yeah, Shane, it's like, what now? And yeah, she tells him, she points out about Otis. She tells about he thinks it's his baby. And... yeah, I think she's right. I think there is, you know, Shane is okay with Rick dying, provided it, you know, Lori and Carl and the baby are okay. And yeah, that is genuinely going to be, it's so exciting. I really appreciate how complex they make his character. I genuinely, like, here recently, they've definitely pushed a lot of him being dangerous, but then there was also that very tender moment where he's taking care of Carol. So, but yeah, really, really excited to see how that's gonna play out in upcoming episodes. And I must say, I am genuinely so relieved. I wasn't sure if Herschel was going to, you know, make it back to the farm, if you know, he might die in the bar or right outside or something. And I mean, let's be honest, if he did not make it back to the barn, if they ended up if they ended up having to leave the farm, there is no way that the survivors would ever be able to afford eggs again. Which I don't know how Trump didn't sign an executive order for that. Like, he signed a lot, but not really any helping with grocery prices. Also funny how now Fox News is like, oh, you know, it's like it's bird flu or something, but you know, before their guy was in charge, it was the fault of the guy in charge, and now it's not. I don't know. It's just, it must be a coincidence. One executive order Trump did make sure to sign was to prevent the CDC from doing much about bird flu, which might be the next big, yeah, I don't know. I guess he loved that first pandemic so much. He just, you know, wanted a sequel.